Well, I first want to start off by, I wish I had as many people as you do and I could be as loud as you guys were, because that was amazing, first off. Thank you all for coming out. Without each and every one of you guys out here tonight, or I guess it's today, we would not have this movement. We would not have anything like this happening without all of your support on social media, all of your support on Twitter, Instagram, everything, along with the trolls, which I'm sure there's one or two out there. By the way, you guys have, if there are, you've done a great job of advertising. You've quadrupled my Twitter following. But now on a more serious note, I'll start off by explaining what happened that day. So I was in my AP Environmental Science class, and I was sitting next to Parker Morris, who isn't here. He's here today. He's still alive, but he's not here at the event. But we were in the Environmental Science class. It was 2:30, and we were learning about municipal waste. And our door was open just a little bit, and we hear a pop. And I look over at Parker and I say, Parker, that sounded like a gunshot. And we nod and agree. And right then our teacher goes up and she goes and immediately closes the door. But the second the door closes, the fire alarm is pulled. We still thought this was a drill. Teachers had been talking about this for months. Students had been talking about this for months, thinking that we were going to have a drill, thinking that everything that was going on was a drill. And that entire time, I was thinking, wow, those are some realistic blanks. But what happened is after the fire alarm was pulled, because it was the second time that day, actually, that the fire alarm went off, we started going down to the first floor where our evacuation zone was. And as we were out there, I just started seeing a tsunami of people running towards me in the opposite direction, screaming, don't come this way, don't come this way, he's coming this way. I didn't know what they were talking about. I still thought we were in a drill. And I started following them. I didn't realize at the time that I was actually headed towards the shooter. And as I was running in the opposite direction, literally anywhere where I could, just following the herd, I don't know the man's name, but he is an amazing janitor, and he stopped me and about 100 other kids and said, stop, don't come this way, he's coming this way. So the second that he said that, Ashley Kurth, who I don't think she's out there tonight, but I saw her earlier today, and she's the culinary teacher at Marjory, Stoneman, Douglas. She opened up her classroom and got about 65 students in the matter of 30 seconds into her classroom. That was about 100 square feet because we all ran into a closet. She got all of us, 65, in there in the matter of 30 seconds. All the while, there were multiple gunshots going off, probably about 100 feet away from her. We couldn't tell where they were coming from, but because of her, I'm alive. So I would just like us to give a round of applause to her for... Amazing woman, seriously. She's the only reason I'm here today, and the only reason why 65 others are. Ashley Kurth. Thank you. But after we got in there, and again, we still thought it was a drill. As we were in there, we started reading the headlines and realizing that this was anything but a drill. This was life or death. And at the time, I realized that this could be a serious situation where I could have died. I started to think, if I died here, was I going to be like the billions of other background characters that have lived in human history? It was a humbling experience in that humanity only has a few select 100 people that they choose to remember. And realizing that and coming to terms with that was something that I didn't want to, because I thought my entire life that I wanted to change the world. I wanted to be that 17-year-old that worked as hard as I could. I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I knew I wanted to do something amazing. At the time, even the morning before, I was studying to become an aerospace engineer to work for SpaceX, like working on Khan Academy. But just trying to figure out what my impact was. If I was going to die there with those 65 others, what was my legacy going to be? I came to the realization that if I was going to die there and our souls were left behind on that classroom floor, Hopefully our voices and some of the other ones that I interviewed as a student journalist at the school and schools news director, hopefully our voices would carry on to the halls of Congress and echo across the nation. But beyond that, once we did get out of there, and I knew that we were alive, it was an insane experience to see just a whirlwind of people, but we eventually did make it out of there. Everybody in my classroom survived, and sadly, not everyone at my school did. But that's why we're fighting for change, because I'm here, I'm alive, and we have to change something, we have to do something about this. And just as a little side note for you guys, if you ever, sadly, have experienced one of these situations, in my experience, and I'm sure for many others, instead of giving your condolences, just be there for that person. Don't ever let them be alone unless they ask to, but always be there with them, because one of the most dangerous things for these people to be is alone with their thoughts. They need that support. They need people to hug them. They need people around them, because when they don't have that, they're left alone, and it's almost like they have to relive that situation and be there. So if you guys are ever touched by, hopefully you will never be, but I'm sure some of you, we're all affected by these things in one way or another, but if you are, just make sure the person's okay. Don't even ask them how they feel, just be there for them. Give them a hug. That's really what they need. But beyond that, what we're trying to do now is take action with Congress. We tried meeting with some people even in Florida with our state legislation and meeting with them, but sadly they wouldn't. And that speaks testaments, because really what they were trying to do there is trying to make us forget. And we're not going to let that happen. We aren't. Because only one Republican lawmaker was able to meet with us. And don't get me wrong, this is not a Republican or Democrat issue. This is an issue of lives, and this is a nonpartisan issue, and we have to work together to solve it. But through realizing how our elected officials are funded and realizing that many of them are funded by these people at the NRA, and don't get me wrong, 99.9% of the people in the NRA are amazing people. They are some of the best people in this nation in that they're politically active individuals that care about gun safety and want to be responsible individuals and fight for their own rights, and they have every right to do so. But the problem is the people at the top of the NRA that aren't working on behalf of those individuals. They're working on behalf of the gun manufacturers that want to continue to I think one of the most important things for you guys to realize is what these politicians that are in Congress right now, what these politicians, even in some of our states, are trying to do is make us forget. They're hoping that we move on, that we don't have this news and press media coverage. They're hoping that we all forget and that we all move on with our lives and they continue to get reelected. And we're not going to let that happen. And just to quickly summarize, what the best thing for you guys to do is, honestly, stay woke and get out and vote, you know? Stay informed. Yeah. Because these people, they will not lose their clench on the ropes of power until we take it from them. We need to be an educated democracy, because when we're not and we're not active, we lose our democracy and we lose our future. That's really what's going on here. But as a last point, we have to remain educated. We have to stay awake, and we have to never, ever fall asleep and become neglectful of what our democracy is. Because when we do that, when we forget why we have to get out and vote, these children's lives are taken, but we're not going to let that happen. We're going to take this to midterms. We're going to take this across the nation and across the world, because our future is too important. Thank you. Thank you so much.